Hey, everybody. Welcome to Game Mess Mornings with me, Jeff Grubb, your host from GiantBomb.com. Thank you for tuning in. In this episode, we're going to be talking about maybe a new system arriving on Nintendo Classics on NSO. And did Stop Killing Games just get a big win? It's going to be a good one because we have Rhys Elliot on the show. Rhys, how are you doing?
Hey Jeff, going good over here. Excited for the weekend. Going out for my birthday tonight
Yeah, happy
and for the
birthday
rest
to
of the
Rhys,
weekend.
everybody. Let's get HBDs in chat, please, for Rhys.
Yeah, if you want. But apart from that, gonna try and finish Ghost of Yotei this weekend. But there's just
Sure.
too many like amazing roguelites come in. You know, I've got Megabonk, Hades 2, and now Ball Pit. So I want to finish Ghost of Yotei, and I'm really loving it. But I just can't tear myself away from my Steam Deck and these insane roguelites. And there's Absalom as well. Like, Jesus, give us a chance.
I was going to ask, have you started Absalom? Have you tried that? We just tried, we did one run yesterday, me and Dan. We're going to try to do a run a day. And it sounds like it's going to be a good fit for that. But I do want to keep playing it. It's really super good.
It's so good. I've been playing the hell out of it. Like, I have a weird thing with this game. So my second run, I actually had the most luckiest run I could have had and actually beat the game instantly and thought, oh, this game is like easy, right? It's, you know, I'm not very good at beat 'em ups, but it turns out I just got completely lucky and I've just had my ass handed to me every other run. So yeah, I'm excited. But there's just too many games.
Yep.
That is
that's how roguelites go. It's like you really can get that lucky build and break the game. I think that's kind of what makes it fun a lot of times because you just never know when that's going to happen. And then even when a run goes bad, it can still feel pretty unique because you're like, okay, I'm going to try this idea this time. I'm going to be curious to see how much variety there is in Absalom, although it's doing everything else right that I don't need it to feel like completely unique each time I go through it because it's a beat 'em up and I expect a certain thing from beat 'em up and it's delivering that so far. Yeah, we're gonna try to do another This Is the Run today, everybody, but it's a busy day, so we'll see where we sneak it in. Kind of see if Dan wants to do that right after Game Mess Mornings today. Jan, I think that we have that clear on the schedule. That might be possible. We'll let you know. Again, for This Is the Run, we are doing them live for free. If you watch live, you can catch it free. The archives for now are going to be on premium on the website. So if you want to catch them there, you'll have to do that. But yes, we'll try to give you guys plenty of notice when we do go live on socials so you have a chance to jump in there with us. All right, let's explain ourselves. We're Giant Bomb, video game doofuses. We are independent games media. That means we need your help. We've been getting your help, and we are very appreciative to everyone who's gone to giantbomb.com/join and became a premium member. If you want to join that crew and ensure that we can continue to do the stuff that we love to do here and that you love to see us do, we'll just go ahead and pull the trigger on that and make it happen. And we'll keep doing our thing, including stuff like the Bombathon that's coming up later this month. We're going to be really pushing the site hard, trying to grow. That's going to be happening on October 27th at 5 p.m., 24 hours. It's going to be a really good time. Lots of fun stuff planned for that, so be sure to tune in. And again, that's giantbomb.com/join. Become a premium member. As far as this show goes, most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS feed on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with a new patent seemingly shows how Nintendo DS games could work on Switch and or Switch 2. This is from My Nintendo News, who this is a patent that was found by Mike Odyssey on Twitter. That's where it was originally shown, and then My Nintendo News wrapped it up here. But basically, I'm just going to kind of explain the patent as far as I understand it. Nintendo is describing a situation here where you would have a sort of a screen or your device, and then like a daughter system or a child system that would be a screen itself that could share information back and forth between the parent device. So like a simple way of thinking that is you have the Switch, and then you have either a device that is connected to the Switch wirelessly or maybe through a cable that acts as a screen to display another with more information, but you could also, let's say, treat it as a touch screen, and that could send information back to the system or something like that. Similar to how the Wii U worked. So this is technology they've messed around with before. But yeah, that the idea would be an attachment, basically, Rhys. Something like akin to what they are doing with the Virtual Boy, where like, hey, Virtual Boy's coming to NSO. If you want to play it, you either got to get this cardboard thing or a whole other set of plastic and optics. Put your Switch in there, and then it will work. The thing here, though, I think, Rhys, is like this is not strictly necessary for DS. And I would know that because I've used emulators before. And on the Steam Deck, you can have a fantastic experience playing DS or 3DS games, or basically, and I'll try to paint the word picture here for people who have not experienced this. They kind of split the screen up into quadrants or into thirds, where it's like, here is your one big screen that you're focused on, that you're looking at, where most of the gameplay is happening. And since that is like a 4x3 screen or whatever it was, maybe it was 3x2 on the DS, I can't remember. That goes on one side of the screen, and then to the left or right of that, then they do both screens stacked on top of one another to the side of that. Now you can also usually, using these emulators, hit a button and cycle through a bunch of different views. So for some reason you needed to focus on one of the other screens, one or versus the other, you could do that. It works. There's actually, in most circumstances, it works perfectly fine. It's not going to work for everything, but it works perfectly fine in most instances. So I wonder if this patent is more just like Nintendo experimenting, or if, because we have that Virtual Boy thing, maybe this is the more likely scenario where they try to sell some new peripheral or accessory to really hit this home. Although that's going to come with tariff costs and stuff like that. So I do wonder if they would try to avoid that. Rhys, how do you read all this? And we know that patents don't always mean that we're going to get the thing, but what do you think?
Yeah, exactly. I think the main thing, right, like DS games have been trapped on that hardware for a long time, like DS and 3DS, because 3DS can play the DS games. But like, right now, if you want to play a DS game legally, you need an actual DS or
Yep.
3DS, or like you said earlier, you need to emulate. But like so many people don't emulate, right? Especially Nintendo fans, more casual gamers. But if this does hit the virtual console, suddenly you've got like Nintendogs, Brain Age, Pokemon Heart Gold, like Phantom Hourglass. All of that is like playable again officially. And like the DS, 3DS shop like is already kind of dead, and like physical carts are rising in price. So the patent as well could help preservation, legitimately save
Yep.
like a chunk of gaming history from being unaccessible officially. And also, like you said, Jeff, this is a patent. Like Nintendo patents a lot of weird shit all the time that
Yep.
doesn't see the light of day. But I was looking through this one earlier, and there are some like indicators that show that it could be real, right? Like it specifically references Switch style hardware,
Yep.
which is kind of like deeper than you usually get. It does solve like a technical barrier of being able to access these DS games, and it's also like financially lucrative for Nintendo, right? Like that is such a big part of Nintendo history. The DS, like it was huge. It really
Yes.
exploded more than they thought, right? They say this is going to be a third pillar, the Game Boy Advance and GameCube, but it like grew into actually their main pillar for a long time. So it's like everything's coming together, and I just think like this is going to be, if it happens, it's going to be great for consumers. It'll be great for Nintendo, and I think it's a smart step for them, honestly. So
Yep.
fingers crossed this is real.
Uh, for a second, Rhys, I think we're still good for the most part. You kind of came back pretty quickly, so I think we're gonna try to just continue on. But if we need to, Jan, we'll switch the server and see
Oh,
what
I think we've crashed.
Oh yeah, are you still? Do you hear me? Okay, let's see here. I'm gonna switch the server real quick. Let's try this. Let's see what happens. Okay. Are you there? Can you hear me, Rhys? Uh,
Yeah, it just cut out for a bit, but I think I'm back now.
okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, yeah, it's all good now. Yeah, it dipped out there. Don't know what happened.
Yeah, okay. So I switched up the server there just because it seemed like we really did lose you. So if we need to do that again, we will. But so far, so good. All right. So yeah, I'm with you. I think your breakdown there is kind of where I'm at, and I tend to agree that there seems like there's something here. I'll say at the very least, I think DS will come to Nintendo Switch Online, Nintendo Classics at some point in some way. And maybe it's a situation where it's both ways, where it's like, hey, we are going to offer you this emulator like situation where this is where it works like, hey, you could just do it like I was describing earlier, and then if you want, we are also going to sell something akin to what we're doing with the Virtual Boy, so you can get the full on experience and it's fully capable of doing all the things the DS was capable of doing. Now that's a lot, because the DS had a microphone and it has the clamshell, so as Marino was pointing out in chat, when you want to copy the map in Phantom Hourglass and you had to like close the DS to like get the ink to imprint on the map. Is that what it was? Is that what I'm thinking of? It's like, okay, well, that's something on an emulator that would just be mapped to a button to like fake that. And it's like, well, what if I really want to do that? It's like, well, maybe this accessory that Nintendo could sell for probably at least $100. Um, Maybe it'll do that. Now, a screen with the technology to kind of speak with the Switch probably wouldn't be extremely expensive for Nintendo to make, but I would imagine it would be more expensive than this dummy Virtual Boy with the optics would be. So maybe it's more than $100 because, of course, that Virtual Boy was $100 that they're selling it for. So yeah, it's something that I think will happen. And I also think Nintendo is like continue to slowly like march up the value of Nintendo Switch Online. So Rhys, when should we expect a price increase for that thing? $50 a year is still not a lot compared to just about every other service.
Yeah, I think they are going to, as we say, inshitify it. You know what's happening with Game Pass right now. But like you say, it's such good value for money right now. But I think now isn't really the time to up the price there. Like the Switch 2 is still a young piece of hardware, right? They don't want to cause that like extra friction at the beginning of the console's life cycle, for example. And yes, you know, a lot of this stuff is available on the Switch as well. But I think Nintendo is a lot less beholden to kind of, you know, increase in prices, like maximize revenue, do it all now. So I think they'll do it a little slower and, you know, roll it out more slowly. But Nintendo is Nintendo, and they might just tomorrow turn around and say, we're actually quadrupling the price. Like you just, you don't know. Like with Nintendo, it's really hard to predict with them.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that it's going to be a slow burn. I think the subscription isn't quite there yet, and I think they're going to try and add a lot more value with like the Nintendo Music app. They'll probably do like a Nintendo Video app eventually, where they
Oh
house
yeah.
all their kind of like transmedia efforts. So I think for now they've just planted the seeds and it'll like plod along in the background. So I would expect a price increase a little later rather than sooner. But again, it's really hard to predict what the hell Nintendo is going to do. So we'll see.
Yeah, yeah. So, that price increase really just, I mean, I guess the expansion pack thing that they did, that was their like way of moving up the price for a lot of their consumers because that was a late introduction, but that's a long time ago now. And then, so it's still $20 from $50 the way it's been for basically since its introduction. So it's like a little surprising that they haven't found a way to nudge the price up here or there, especially when they've done everything else. But I think you're right that I think they're happy to just get more and more subscribers because their games are selling so well, their hardware's selling so well that they can maybe be like, let's just let that grow naturally and continue to add consumers and subscribers, and then later we'll worry about extracting more money from them. That'll happen eventually, though. All right, The Crew 2 finally gets its offline mode. This is from Blair Marnell at GameSpot. When Ubisoft launched The Crew 2 in 2018, there weren't any options to bring this online racing game offline. Now, 7 years later, The Crew 2, man, has that really been 7 years since The Crew 2 came out? The Crew 2 has finally received its much requested offline mode. Starting today, PC players can download an update from Ubisoft and enjoy The Crew 2 without an internet connection with hybrid mode. The console update for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One will be released later today. Players now have the option of picking either online or offline when starting up the game. If players aren't connected to the internet, then Crew 2 will automatically switch to offline. Ubisoft notes that saves for the two modes are completely separate and progress made offline will not carry to online. However, players can export a copy of their online save to their computer or console for the offline mode. Obviously, they list a bunch of stuff that like won't work offline, live summits and stuff like that. The things that require online won't work. Not too surprising. This is exactly the kind of thing that the Stop Killing Games movement was asking for, Rhys. That hey, people buy these games. They have a lot of online hooks that everyone fully understands and that everyone fully expects will one day be taken offline. No one is really, for the most part, saying you need to be responsible for keeping those servers up in perpetuity. They do ask for the option to maybe like run their own private servers, and there's going to be some debate back and forth about that. But then, like below that, is this idea of, well, give us an option to continue playing what is possible in the game offline. And some of these games don't have that. The Crew 2 did not have that basically until now. And this feels like a response to that. And it feels like the exact thing that I think is the kind of thing that I was expecting to happen here, where these companies don't want regulators to come in. They don't want legislators. They don't want the EU to come in and dictate it to them. So how do you avoid that? You self-regulate. You do an ESRB situation. You say, hey, we are going to have a standard that we promise to meet ourselves so that you don't force us to come in and do more than we want to do or that would be financially reasonable. This feels more than financially reasonable. It feels kind of like the bare minimum. And yet I'm like, hey, this is a win because this is not how it was working beforehand. We were definitely trending in the other direction. Do you read this the same way? Is this a situation where it's like, oh, this is something Ubisoft was probably already going to do? What do you think?
Yeah, I read it the same way. I don't think Ubisoft was going to do this anyway, right? This is kind
Yeah.
of more of a strategic move to repair trust after like backlash from them announcing they were going to take things offline. So I think this is a major win for consumer rights, honestly. And it's not like an all or nothing thing, right? Like
Right.
a lot in the past, publishers would say, we just need to turn everything off. But that clearly that's not the case. And like this is kind of now more of a case study that like always online games need kind of more exit strategies for that period going forward. And you know, like you mentioned, it is more of a controlled concession, right? Like not everything is available, like you know, the achievements, some of the UGC stuff, but that doesn't matter. Like you said, like most of the like really big fans of a franchise, they just intuitively understand that they're not going to be able to access everything. So just let them access the portion of the thing that they paid for that is like doesn't need online, and I think people will be happy, right? And that is what everybody wants in you know to keep games online
Yeah.
initiative. It's so necessary, and yeah, I think this will hopefully be a new standard going forward at the bare minimum. But I think the sad truth is that if companies can get away with just turning a game off without like having to pay any maintenance costs or do any work on it, they will do that. And so it'll probably be necessary for there to continue being backlash and you know community movements. Otherwise, publishers will just do the thing that's cheaper for them and better for their bottom line, which is to just switch everything off and move on. So I love this. Like this is great for
Hmm.
consumers. I'm on the same page as you here. This is good, and it's a very rare win, I would say, for Ubisoft in the the current climate. So I'd love to see more of this, but we'll see.
Yeah, I always kind of go back to a point I made a while ago, and I made a video about this. That look, people say vote with your wallet, and I think that is mostly a lie. Obviously, it informs decisions, but don't think of it as a vote. It's never really a vote. It's not a democracy. Capitalism is not a democracy. If you actually want something to happen, it's okay to get loud. It's okay to put a pressure campaign on a company. They would do the same thing to stop something from happening in legislation that they don't want. They wouldn't vote with their wallets. What would that even mean? They go and talk to the policymakers themselves and pressure them. Or if they do vote with their wallet, it is giving donating to campaigns or whatever. Uh, so you like people should feel proud and happy that this worked. This is a pressure campaign where gamers got loud, made a lot of noise, scared these companies, and that gets shit done. There's a lot of times where that's messy and it just looks like whining online. That also gets stuff done a lot of times. It's not always great, and a lot of times that's in bad faith. But this is a situation where it just all feels like on the up and up, and the companies were saying things like, oh, this could cost us so much money, and we're this is unreasonable. And it's like, you know what? They're just the people saying stop killing games. People behind that movement are like, let's just have the conversation. And they're still afraid of that conversation, but their response to that now, other than just saying, oh, this would be terrible, is offering up some fig leaves here and there. And I hope this is a trend that kind of continues, this sort of backtracking of like, okay, maybe we went too far with just putting a game out and saying one day we're going to take it all away from you. Yeah, that does feel bad. Why would anyone feel good about that? And maybe we should recognize that. And that's what seems like has happened here, and I'm happy to say it, to see it. All right, let's actually take a quick break, and then we got plenty more headlines to get into. If you want to skip out on these, we have a premium version of the audio show, premium version of the video show. Both of these have ad-free, like both these are available if you go to giantbomb.com/join, become a premium member, and yeah, you can get them there. All right, we'll be right back, everybody.
Grubb, it's okay. Just look at it, okay? It's fine.
Oh, what the? Wait, Dan, what are you doing here?
Oh, wait, like existentially, or what do you mean?
No, Dan, like here at Giant Bomb, covering games.
Oh, what I do for a living. Okay, well, I'm here because of Game Informer. That's right, way back in 1993, I saw Game Informer magazine and subscribed for the first time, and it has been a huge part of my life ever since. From working the register at Funkoland and selling subscriptions to starting working there full time in 2009, Game Informer has been there for me the whole time. They mean a ton to me, so it hurt me, just like I know it hurt a lot of you when the unexpected news came down not too long ago that Game Informer was shutting down. But nay, fear not, I say. That's right, Game Informer is back, and with 100% of the staff that was there when it shut down.
Now, Danny boy, I see that you're holding a magazine right there. Tell me about how that page feels.
I'm telling you, I have held hundreds upon hundreds of Game Informer magazines from 1993 to today, and this is without a doubt the best. I'm feeling this right now.
Ooh.
This is a smooth cover.
Oh.
This is a thick, nice paper here. The print is just good. This is a wonderful quality print magazine. It makes my heart feel good.
And I know that Game Informer is a team that I can rely on to say something substantial about games and the people who make them, because GI has a stellar crew of editors. These are people I love to have on the couch at Giant Bomb at night over at Summer Game Fest. It's people I can always rely to have something interesting to say. That's why I know when they have those excellent cover stories, just like they always did and always will continue to do so, it's going to be some of the best coverage in video games.
And another fun bonus, Game Informer donates 5% of every subscription purchase directly to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital.
Earlier this year, the future seemed very uncertain for both Game Informer and Giant Bomb. That's putting it mildly. And as someone whose life and gaming hobby has been greatly impacted by both of those outlets, I am thrilled that we are both back and doing our thing online, in your podcast apps, and in print in your hand. That is right. Gaming news, reviews, everything in between sent straight to your mailbox every month. To subscribe, go to GameInformer.com/subscribe now.
Magazines.
We're back. It's Game Mess Mornings. Jeff Grubb, Rhys Elliot. Let's get back into the headlines here. Nintendo reportedly increases Switch 2 production to 25 million units for year one. This is from PJ O'Reilly at Nintendo Life. Nintendo has apparently requested its global suppliers to pump out as many as 25 million Switch 2 console units by the end of March 2026. Bloomberg reports, if the Big N can manage this, it would set the company up for meeting the demands of what's set to be a record-breaking first year of sales for the new console. According to Bloomberg, people familiar with the matter say that Nintendo has requested a boost in production in order to maximize potential sales across Christmas as Switch 2 continues to crush expectations. Analysts were already predicting it will sell 17.6 million devices by the end of March. So with these production figures, that figure looks to be comfortably surpassed and to reach 20 million, at least based on shipping estimates from its assembly partners. Bloomberg intelligence industry analyst Nathan Nadeau says that this reinforces our view that its 15 million unit sales target is conservative and a guidance upgrade appears imminent. The console sold 5.8 million units in its first month globally versus the original Switch's 2.7 million units sold through its launch. We continue to get updates here or there, Rhys. Matt over at Circana was like, hey, yeah, the first initial thing, we were like, okay, that's because there was a ton available. And then he's like, okay, as we continue to track, it continues to do better than expected, even. Like, it's doing really well. It's not just necessarily about the availability, although that is, of course, helping. Having these systems to sell just helps, but it's tracking ahead of PS4 still. And the next test continues to be the holiday season, and that is still a question mark. But as far as like the early signs, it's not like people were saying, "Oh, I'm seeing these things on store shelves." That's a sign that it's not selling. It's like, no, that's a sign that it's very available, and many of those are still selling very quickly. I think that 25 million in the first year is kind of a crazy number. It's that is pretty nuts. Part of me thinks, like, are they motivated here, like extremely motivated, just to get these things built so they can get them sent out to countries like America? Because who knows, tariffs, they keep rearing their head back up all the time. New ones all the time. New ones based on China. He gets mad at China. It's like, 100% tariff is back on the table, and it's like they maybe just want to act faster because they think he's going to get bored and come back to tariffs. But maybe it's not just that. It also just seems like the demand for the Switch 2 is there, and they want to act on that and not sort of hold back in any way. What do you think?
Yeah, it's both indeed. Like, Trump is insane and we don't know what he's going to do like the next
Impossible to predict.
minute, hour. Yeah, you don't know. So Nintendo wants to ship a ton and then stockpile, of course, because of that. But also I know that like pre-orders have been through the roof. Like in Japan, it was very difficult for Nintendo to kind of match demand there. Retailers are probably signaling like really aggressive commitments for like store inventory ahead of the holidays as well. But honestly, it's really hard to say long term, right? Like all the early adopters bought it in these last kind of, few months. So as for the casual players, the families and things like that, I think the holiday is going to be the real kind of barometer, the real test. But Nintendo wants to avoid any shortages as well, right? Whether that's tariff based or just demand based. And while scarcity did help, like the original Switch, the PS5, it also left billions of dollars like on the table for like in terms of revenue. So Nintendo would rather like flood the shelves this holiday season rather than not have enough. And as well, like I don't know if this is too much in the weeds of like the financial stuff, but like this kind of increase as well helps explain the 50% like stock price rise in the past year as well. Like more often than not, like institutional investors are kind of pricing Nintendo more as like a hardware platform than the toy company that it actually is, and they have a lot of this information, so they kind of go for it. As well, Nintendo doesn't want to wait for the competition as well. Like we know there's a lot of other handhelds in the works. I think the big one for Nintendo is PlayStations. That's probably the biggest competition right in the handheld sphere. Steam Deck, PC handhelds aren't as much of a competition for Nintendo. But if PlayStation is like, hey, PS5 games are playable portably, here's a portable, then Nintendo will be like, oh shit. So they really just want to get as much visibility in stores, as much inventory as they can to just continue this big momentum that they've built with the early adopters like me and you, Jeff, who bought this thing on day one and wanted to play Donkey Kong, etc. But the jury is still out on the non-core gamer buyers. So Nintendo is just really trying to make sure that everything goes as well as possible into the holiday season and beyond. So none of this is a surprise to me, and I'll be definitely watching eagerly this holiday to see how many they actually sell to the more casual.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. When I look at this right now, it's like, okay, this is all of the numbers we're getting are from before Pokemon came out. And this new Pokemon is doing pretty well in terms of, it's doing better than Scarlet and Violet in terms of its critical reception. People seem mostly happy with it. It's not revolutionizing too much. There's some stuff that's definitely going to be interesting to people who are Pokemon super fans. And there's a lot of those people. So it's like, if this game is like, okay, a big pop right now, that's something that can easily carry it through the holidays. Pokemon will be the kind of thing that families get a Switch 2 to play. Is, the price going to be a barrier there? Absolutely. It's going to be the kind of thing where families go, well, we already have Switch 1. This game works on Switch 1, so we'll just get the game. But some people are going to be like, well, I'm looking for a big gift for my kids. They want Pokemon. I'll get Switch 2 so they can have the best version there. That will also happen. And I bet Nintendo will emphasize that in its marketing here pretty soon as they do get closer to the holidays. And then it just does seem like, for the most part, people are happy to get the Switch 2 for Mario Kart, for Donkey Kong, for Pokemon, and then with the promise that Animal Crossing certainly will be coming soon, and Smash Brothers, some sort of update will come for that, one form or another in the next handful of years. I think people are like, no, we understand the promise of Nintendo at this point, and so we're happy to get it, play some games now, and then have the system when those things arrive. So I think they're in a good place to continue to thrive. And 25 million in the first year, again, just a kind of a pretty nutso number, would put it far ahead of just about anything else through the first year. I mean, it's already ahead of the PS4, which is the fastest selling, at least in the United States. This is Circana numbers. That is going to be something where it's like, if they can really get a head start now, when something like that PlayStation handheld comes along, it's like, even if that's a success, I mean, what does a success mean for a device like that? Like 30 million? That's like the Switch 2 could be there by the middle of next year easily. So we'll see. All right, we're going to continue.
And as well,
here.
I think
go ahead, please.
Yeah, sorry, I was just going to say the big one as well is the mainline Pokemon, right? If Game Freak and Nintendo make that Switch 2 only, that's going to go crazy. Like that, and like mentioned Animal Crossing, but I think Pokemon is going to be the one, right? Like that's going to be insane. Tens of millions of new Switches for that.
Yep, and based on those recent leaks, the hack, whatever, the reporting right now says that next Pokemon game will be exclusive to Switch 2, which I was a little surprised about, because the Pokemon company, Game Freak, they tend to support the last hardware for a little bit longer than just about a lot of other developers, especially for big Nintendo games. But they also struggled with Scarlet and Violet, so maybe they're ready to move on from that hardware so they can have a little bit more overhead there and get a game out that people will enjoy visually as well as playing. All right, here, let's see. The Pokemon Company is apparently putting the legal smackdown on leaks. This is from Kenneth Shepard at Kotaku. We don't have to go over all the details here, but there was that leak. Central Leaks was out there. A bunch of like Pokemon centralized leak accounts were covering this stuff, and they're starting to get hit with DMCAs, which is, I think, Nintendo being like, we're going to go this route with our reaction here, as opposed to what the hackers seem to be suggesting, which is, pay us some money and we'll hand the data back over to you. And there's just no way Nintendo is going to pay the ransom on that stuff, especially. And their response here was, it doesn't really have any too much business information. It certainly doesn't have customer information, which is the kind of thing that might motivate these companies very rarely to act in a way that's like, okay, I guess we got to do something about this. Maybe we do pay, although that usually also doesn't happen. And again, I don't think Nintendo would do that. So we didn't include any of this information on our show for a reason, or none of the visuals, none of the firsthand stuff. We reported it, of course, but I was not like, hey, let's show these images or show any of the things that were leaked, because it's like, yeah, Nintendo's going to DMCA this. They're going to say that's their intellectual property and come after it. Not too surprising, but also it's like, these things don't hurt these companies all that much, although I'm sure it causes chaos internally, where it's like, okay, how did this happen? And we do try to keep these things secret for a reason, but I don't think this is going to hurt Nintendo's share price, right?
Yeah, not at all. It just means Nintendo of America has a bit more work than usual. The core teams will just keep doing their thing, I think. Yeah, it's just one of those things, right? Like, it's just a leak. No kind of sensitive information came out. So, yeah, I think this will be the last we hear of this, I imagine.
Yep. Yeah. And Michael R. O'Leary in chat points out, it just makes the smaller employees' jobs harder. The people that are at the bottom of the rung probably have to deal with a lot of the fallout here. And Nintendo will only do so much about that. All right, continuing on, Silent Hill 2 remake shipments and digital sales top 2.5 million. This is from Sal Romano at Gamatsu. Total shipments and digital sales for the remake of survival horror game Silent Hill 2 have surpassed 2.5 million units worldwide, publisher Konami and developer Bloober Team announced. The Silent Hill series itself has surpassed 10 million units shipped. So it means that game is a quarter of that number. The news comes via a Konami News video report about Silent Hill F, which mentions the shipment numbers early in the video. Silent Hill 2 launched for PlayStation 5 and PC via Steam on October 8th. That game still has to come to other platforms. Could come to Switch too. There's rumors of that happening. Probably will do very well on that platform as well. Rhys, I mean, you're a number guy. You pay attention to these things. 2.5 million. My guess would be that is very good for Silent Hill. I think just based on the information we have here, we know it's very good. But let me get your take. Like this is, we can compare it to Resident Evil, but that's like another thing. That's in another realm for successful video games, right? Should we just kind of look at this in a silo and judge it? What do you think?
Yeah, this is great. This is profitable. This is why Konami kind of moved away from its, pachinko bullshit back in returning on their investment. It's strengthening the IP. It's another thing as well, this was Bloober Team, right? Like it proves that they can deliver commercially, even if, some of their things in the past have been a bit more critically mixed. This one did really well. And it just really matters, like in terms of Konami for their return on investment and for Bloober for their kind of, I guess, commercial viability, if you want to put it like that. So, yeah. I think this, of course, like you said, it's a lot lower than the Resident Evil numbers. It's a different franchise, but this is still great, and it's a really good kind of off-ramp into what's next for the franchise. And Silent Hill F is also doing really well, like as per our estimates. So, yeah, if like this, they can keep nurturing this franchise and keep like doing smart things with it, because Silent Hill F was like, I would never have expected 5 years ago, for example, for Konami to have green lit something like that. It's great, and it's a sign of what's left to come. Like 2.5 million isn't like huge by any means, but it's big relative to the budget. It's a commercial success. Fans are happy. They've acquired new fans too. Like I've seen the data, and there are so many people who've never played a Silent Hill game before who have discovered the franchise via this, loved it, and now they're franchise fans. So I think, yeah, this is a great result. I don't think Konami could have expected anything better than this, and you love to see it because it's a fucking great game as well.
Yeah, by your numbers, I think that the Silent Hill F is selling faster than Silent Hill 2. It's doing better so far, at least as far as we know. And it's like that happens because Silent Hill 2 comes out, gets a lot of attention, and then the next time there's even more focus on the game, and then that will send people back to Silent Hill 2, especially if it launches on other platforms, which it's likely to do. So, yeah, this feels like the whole thing working. Let me ask you. I saw Link to the Pabst in chat asking this, and I'm curious as well. Do you have an idea off the top of your head of how Delta is doing, Metal Gear Solid Delta? Because we did hear Konami previously credit the Metal Gear Solid Volume 1 collection with one of the reasons that it had a very good quarter a few quarters back. They're like, yes, hey, we're doing really well. And Metal Gear's we're going to give the credit to Metal Gear, a big part of it at least. Has that continued with Delta as far as you can tell?
So it's not been as big of a success as Konami wanted it to be. And I think part of the reason for that is the very high price, the fact that it's more of a visual upgrade rather than, a from the ground up, like Resident Evil 4, Silent Hill 2 remake style kind of upgrade. It's more of this is the exact same game you played 20 years ago, but with a fresh lick of paint. So it's not been as revolutionary, for example, as Silent Hill 2. And also the fact that it's so close to the original means that a lot of people had their fill in the MGS Collection Volume 1, right? Because this is for super fans, and they've just played through that again. So that was actually to their detriment, as was the price, right? Like me personally, I love Metal Gear. It's one of my favorite franchises as a kid. But I played it again, MGS3, that is, when I played the collection. So I looked at the price, I looked at what else is in the market, and I was like, you know what? This is one that I'm going to wait for to go down a bit cheaper, because I know what that game is. I've played it like 10 times. I love it. When I'm ready to go back to it, like that version is there, but it's not one that you'd run out to play day one, really. It's different to the Blue Point remakes of like Demon Souls, for example, because Demon Souls was stranded on PS3. There was no other way to play it. They didn't just bring out a collection of From games like a couple of years before. So it's a bit of a unique situation. It's still doing well, and it's still kind of putting Metal Gear on the right track for Konami after what they did with Survive or whatever it was all those years ago. But they definitely could have performed better. I'll say that.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's probably the correct breakdown, that it's very familiar and people have had their fill. I think that sounds like what has happened, because that was a lot of the reviews. It's what Dan was saying when I talked to him during the quick look and things like that. He was enjoying it and he played through it, but he was, part of him was like, yeah, it's hard to go and say, hey, everyone should definitely hop right back on this because you might have already just played it, or if you've played it 10 times because the original game, yeah, it's going to be difficult to recommend. All right, let's continue here. Battlefield 6 will soon let players earn XP faster and unlock attachments quicker. This game is doing very well, and I think they're trying to make sure that they navigate these early days as deftly as they can. Chris Scully of VGC breaks it down here, but really it's like this is a response to people saying, hey, the grind for XP in this game does feel a little bit slow, feels dour, like, hey, I don't feel like I'm getting the rewards as quick as I should be. So them kind of going from like huge strength of people being very excited about this game and then immediately responding feels like, okay, yeah, we want to make sure that we keep people feeling very good about this. How do you think that they're going to be able to navigate that? Do you think they're going to be able to pull it off as they try to go into like the free-to-play battle royale mode that could be coming at any moment now?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, context is that, Battlefield 6 is the biggest franchise launch in their history. We have it at 8 million plus copies sold right now.
Wow.
And they know they can't fuck this up, right? They can't like double down on their, design vision or whatever. They need to listen to the community. And that's exactly what they're doing. And, EA can't be stubborn with this. Like they need to say, we hear you, you're right, we'll fix it. And that's the right approach. Like, I've always been a really big advocate of like community first development, especially in live ops. It's something my clients are like absolutely sick of hearing, but it's so necessary for Battlefield 6, right? Like, there are a lot of retention threats kind of looming, like Valve's Deadlock, for example. I'm looking at the data now, yeah, Arc Raiders as well. But Deadlock has actually already been played on Steam by a quarter of Battlefield 6's players. So it's already on their radar.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, like you said, Arc Raiders, Tarkov, Black Ops 6 is around the corner. So EA has had this like really strong start, and it does not want to lose momentum. So I think this is kind of necessary, right? And like you said, there's the Battle Royale happening. There's also Battlefield Portal, their like user-generated content thing. So they just really need to, keep it coming, listen to the community, keep building this platform that has launched so well. So I think, yeah, they're doing the right thing with this.
An Arc Raiders test launched this morning, and I think it just went live basically like an hour and a half ago, somewhere around there, maybe a little bit longer ago. It's got 90,000 concurrents right now, and it's growing on Steam. Of course, Battlefield 6, a premium title, has 375,000 concurrents right now with a peak of 420. There's a lot of people playing that game. That is an extremely successful game. But you're right. The retaining that engagement is something that is on their minds, and I do think they're aware. They're definitely aware of Arc Raiders. That's former DICE people. That's one of the former leaders of DICE, one of the former leaders of EA. Went and started his own thing, and this game has been on the radar probably for a very long time. They probably have a lot of friends that work at that studio. So yeah, Arc Raiders coming along and planning. It's going to launch. It's like this test is going to pop off, and then I think it launches in earnest in like a week or something like that. So that's right in line with when that Battle Royale could launch for Battlefield. So they're going to try to make sure that everyone's feeling very good about that game as they go through their content plan here. And you kind of like they're playing it as best as they possibly can, and then some of it's going to be out of their control. If Arc Raiders or something else pops off, and maybe somehow Call of Duty Black Ops 7 really does bounce back in a strong way, and people get super excited about that, It seems unlikely in this moment. They're going to try to do their best to avoid those pitfalls, and it seems like they're going to be able to pull it off for the most part. Speaking of Call of Duty, Glenn Schofield, Glenn Schofield, one of the former directors of the series, he was definitely a huge part of Sledgehammer. He is no longer there. He went and started a studio that was working under Crafton. They made the Callisto Protocol. He's no longer there either. He's been out there kind of doing the rounds, talking in some places, doing a talk publicly and stuff like that. He was asked about Call of Duty and how he's like, if he's worried about its future under Microsoft. And he says, absolutely. He says he's immensely worried. And he points to, hey, like, it feels like Gears of War has fallen off. They've not been able to steward that franchise. Hey, where's Halo? They've definitely sort of fumbled that franchise. And I think he is probably onto something for the most part, where it's like, if Microsoft were to sort of get more directly involved, and whatever that means, because it seems like them getting directly involved also means hands off and just like, hey, you guys figure it out and then come back to us when you have a good game, and then they get mad when the game doesn't work. If that could happen to Call of Duty, although there's so much institutionalized like knowledge and information under the Activision banner that is probably sort of insulated from that to a certain degree, but probably not indefinitely. So what do you think? Do you think he's onto something here?
I mean, yeah, he is, but like a lot of the things he was saying in the interview made me like cringe so hard. Like I had very big like Dave Mustaine vibes. Yeah, exactly. But he really felt like that ex-band member who's like, the music hasn't been the same since I left kind of thing. You know, like he almost said it like not verbatim, but he's basically saying Call of Duty under Sledgehammer was better when he was in charge. And like, weird. Yeah, wow, I know, right? But like, I would say that, you know, Sledgehammer made that first COD game, Modern Warfare 3, it made that like before the diminishing return set in, right? When they could take a lot of cues from what Infinity Ward and what Treyarch were doing, and they could just kind of like iterate on it. But then like he kind of co-directed Advanced Warfare and World War II, which weren't seen that positively at launch. And as well, the Treyarch games are still great. You know, last year's Black Ops game had all the like awesome open world levels and things like that. Almost like not Hitman-esque, but you know, same kind of cloth. And I mean, I shouldn't say this, but like, don't throw stones, you know, from glass houses. Like Callisto Protocol had a dev budget of like 160 million, right, Jeff? Like 3 years dev time, but that played like an Xbox 360 game. It looked stunning, like it looked just insane at the time, but it played like an old game. It underperformed commercially, had mixed reviews. So like to hear him kind of standing on this soapbox and kind of almost declaring himself as this like guardian of franchise integrity at Sledgehammer's Call of Duty, it just was cringe, right?
It's rough. Yeah, I mean, you're right. Like him, like the quote is just here. I hate doing this, but since I left Sledgehammer, none of the games have been very good. I mean, the last one, Modern Warfare 3, was a 50. They still sell well. You know, that happens. You move. I always wonder, why did you take that guy out? It's not going to work later. And very few times does that work. They just aren't as good. They aren't the same. Treyarch still are really good, but you know, I feel like I got lucky. I feel like I was at the heyday of EA during my time, and now he's talking about, I guess, his Dead Space games. And then when I got to Activision, I made Modern Warfare 3, the original. As a matter of fact, Modern Warfare 3 was the last Call of Duty to win Action Game of the Year. Oh no, don't bring up Game Awards stuff. And my other two games were nominated for it, but now, you know, you don't see them. Oh, Glenn, yeah, this is, you can't take all the credit like this. You sound insane. It's rough. I think that he definitely feels a little bit lost. Like his way of making games is not in vogue with the people who have money right now, and this feels like someone who is trying to overstate their value so that they can maybe get back on board and make something somewhere. He does, like, I think, make an appeal to EA to let him go make Dead Space 4, which I don't think is going to happen. But yeah, I think his immense worry about Call of Duty under Microsoft had a nugget of truth to it, and then there was a lot of fluff and chest puffing here that is a little bit unseemly. But hey, I guess that seems like also the kind of guy that would be in charge of a Call of Duty game. So what are you going to do? All right, let's
Yeah.
let's hit these last couple of stories here pretty quickly. Former Assassin's Creed boss says he did not leave. Mark Alexis Cote, I'm going to say, Cote, basically said that he was offered a position at that new studio under Tencent and Ubisoft that's going to focus on those 3 franchises, Far Cry, Assassin's Creed, and Rainbow Six. And he's like, well, no, I'm going to keep doing my job, the one I have right now. Thank you, but no thank you. And he kept doing that. And they're like, well, now we don't want you anymore. So go ahead. You can hear some retirement papers to sign. It's Ubisoft seems like a mess. This sounds a little bit messy still. But I think it also just says, hey, if you are not helping with that new initiative, there's probably actually not a place for Ubisoft because there's probably not much of a Ubisoft outside of that new initiative, at least not with a lot of money to do anything that he would have done previously. What do you think?
Yeah, I largely agree with that. And like it's very much, this decision is very much in line with, what Ubisoft has been doing lately. Step 1 is bail out the company with Tencent money. Step 2 is like hand control of its like flagship franchises to Vantage Studios, whatever that is. And then they put Yves' son and cousin in charge of that.
Always
and
a
then
good sign.
tell the 20, always a great sign, right, Jeff? And then they tell the 20-year franchise steward, that's Mac. He goes by Mac. Like he's a cool dude. I went to one of his BAFTA masterclasses because I'm British and we're all invited, of course. And like he really is a visionary. He's yeah, of course. He's great at what he does. Then they just told him like, oh yeah, you're moving to like special projects. And of course he's like, no, like it really does suck. Like it really does suck. It's I don't know. I'm trying to like bite my tongue a little bit, but I'm not very good at that. But like it is a warning sign. Like, like Mac was one of those leaders that like really gave a shit, and they've replaced him with someone who like built an NFT studio and an intro for a mobile game that blamed Black Lives Matter for like protesters and global unrest. And now they've put him, who is the ex-CEO's son, in charge and kind of kicked this visionary guy who's so smart, so talented, understands how the industry works, have kicked him out in lieu of Yves' son. It's disgusting, and it's one of the things that's wrong with this industry, the like rampant nepotism. Like I hate it. Like this is me as a consumer, as a fan of games and the games industry, not as an analyst at Linear, but like from me, Rhys Elliot, it fucking sucks. I hate it.
The amount of effort, the amount of maneuvering and scheming that family had to do to stay in charge of that company that they messed up is insane. Makes me want to pull my hair out. It drives me crazy. I also hate it. At a certain point, the responsibility must be taken. You can't just continue to find new ways to flood money into the company from other sources so that you can break off pieces and stay in charge of that. It looks weird because it is weird, and it's going to be bad for that company long term. Obviously, it's been bad for the company in the short term and in the recent past and in the midterm past. And they feel lost because it's all about protecting that family, and definitely not about making games, and certainly not about protecting anyone who works there. So yeah, I think Ubisoft will occasionally luck into a game that is decent, and that's going to be all because they have so many long-term employees who have so much knowledge and so much, and they've put so much work into perfecting their craft. That will be hard to shake. There's going to be games that come out of Ubisoft that are still decent. It will not be because of anything the Guillemot family's done. Last thing I was going to say, that Arc Raiders is having a free-to-play weekend. I'll just remind everyone that's going to be going here. Let's see here. The Slam test from October 17th through the 19th. So all through this weekend. And then the game is going to launch in earnest on October 30th. I think is what this is saying here. So there you go. I'm going to try this game out. It looks really cool. I think it has a really cool sci-fi style that I'm into. I also wanted to quickly say, hey, there's some reviews that popped off that I saw someone in chat post here. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 has a 66 on OpenCritic. Let's see here. Jessica Cogswell over at GameSpot. Shouts out to Jess. Miss you. Although Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 isn't particularly ambitious or polished, it makes up for its faults with enthralling gameplay, gorgeous environments, a good story, and even better characters. Gotta say, that makes it sound like the exact kind of 7 out of 10 that I'm okay with. I hope that is where a lot of people actually end up on this, where it's like, not a great game, has a lot of flaws, but there's some stuff here that's like, when you dig in, you're going to find some value. The Game Rant, Nick Rodriguez gave it a 7 out of 10. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodline 2 picks up from where its predecessor left off, but does it live up to the legacy of the cult classic? And it's kind of a mixed answer there. And then let's see here. We got one more from Push Square, Robert Ramsey, 4 out of 10. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 is a shambles. Its best qualities are always short-lived, buried deep beneath the frustrations of non-existent RPG elements, extreme padding, and diabolical technical issues. Beyond the promise of its opening hours, this is a tragic misfire of a game. And of course, this is a game that had development hell, got its switched developers, was supposed to come out years and years ago. I'm more shocked than anything else that it actually released. To me, that's the weirdest thing about this game. And then Keeper Reviews went live finally. It's got an 83 on OpenCritic. Although when I read these reviews, it sounds a lot about how I feel about the game. Let me see if I can find the one where it's let's see. Psychonauts Studios Double Fine returns with a surprising shape-shifting adventure of captivating wonder and beauty. That's Matt Wales at Eurogamer, who gave it a 5 out of 5. A lot of these reviews will say things like, it's beautiful, it has great music, there's a wordless story that is very well done. And then anytime someone talks about the gameplay, let's see here, Cameron Swan from Game Rant, who gave it a 6 out of 10, says it might be the most bland entry in Double Fine's catalog yet in terms of gameplay. Someone else said the puzzle, yes, Ethan Krieger at DualShockers, 8.5 out of 10. The puzzles are dead easy, and there are some camera/control performance hiccups at times, but it's still a title that truly takes you places that will amaze you by the end if you're willing to stick with it. I've been playing it. I tend to think that the puzzles are so kind of brain dead that it's hard for me to get engaged in the game, even if I do think moving the lighthouse around, and this is the game where he plays the lighthouse, everybody. I guess I should explain that. Moving that around feels cool, and the world definitely is gorgeous, but it's like, it reminds me a lot of that hurdling game where it's about moving through the world, and hurdling had more going on for me, and I think I would prefer that over this personally, but I'm glad to see it's doing all right with others. All right. That means it is time for the Bomb 12. What's number one? It seems like one of these games has picked up a lot of steam in the last week and continues to be something a lot of people are playing. So let's go through it. Number 12 is Megabonk. Number 11 is Jan, we still don't have audio on this scene. Okay. Number 12 is Megabonk. Number 11 is Trails in the Sky First Chapter. Number 10 is Digimon Story Time Stranger. Number 9, Final Fantasy Tactics, The Ivalice Chronicles. Number 8 is Absalom. Number 7, Silent Hill F. Number 6 is Ball Pit. Number 5, Hollow Knight Silk Song. Number 4, Pokemon Legends ZA. Number 3 is Battlefield 6. Number 2, Hades 2. And the new number 1 is Ghost of Yotei. So that was on the chart 2 weeks ago when it had like one day. And then it popped up to number 2 last week. When it had a full week of people playing the game, but now it's like even more people are hopping on there. I think the word of mouth on that game is just going to continue to be very good. Where it's like, yeah, this is probably the game you've been looking for when people buy a PlayStation 5 and they're they get that system with a certain idea of a kind of game that they want. This is it, and I think obviously a lot of people played Tsushima. I think this is one that's going to be one where it's like, oh yeah, okay, this series actually is worth checking on now, and I'm going to start with Yotei. That's kind of one of the things I think must be happening here because it is just growing in popularity. Do you have a sort of any insight on how it's doing as far as like sales or anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have estimates at almost 2.5 million sold, which is great actually for a one platform game. And is not quite in line with Tsushima, but almost there, which is actually crazy because the install base of the PS5 is a lot lower than the PS4 was at this point. So I think the PS5 is at like 80 million units, something like that. And when Tsushima came out back in 2020 or whatever it was, I think the PS4 had like 110 million install base. So this is a really, really good result. And yeah, I mean, fuck all the Gamergate 2.0s for trying to like boycott this. Didn't work.
L after L right now
yeah.
for that. The Silent Hill F was the same thing. They were tried to like drag that one, and the fastest selling Silent Hill game ever. Yeah, they are missing left and right now, and it's fantastic to see. All right,
You
let's
love to
see.
see
I think
it,
that's good. That's going to do it for the week. Rhys, why don't you tell people where they can find you on the internet, what you have going on, and all of that good stuff?
Yeah, sure. You can find me on Twitter at SuperRhys, same on Blue Sky. I have a Substack called the Alinea Insight, where we publish like a bunch of our estimates, and also me just being slightly too controversial for an analyst, but still does it anyway and somehow still keeps his job. So if you want to subscribe to that, yeah, do so. Or don't. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Rhys, for hanging out with us today and talk about video games, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We're going to have plenty more Giant Bomb happening soon. I think I'm pretty sure Dan is going to be good to do our This is the Run today. And of course, that means this is going to be the run, and we're going to beat Absalom today. So you're not going to want to miss it live. If you don't, we're not doing it, so we're going to do the Asus ROG stuff instead. They're actually going to have an update there. As soon as Dan got done with that, he got an update that made the thing work the way it's supposed to. So there we go instead. All right, let's see here. Also, UPF, we're going to check out some demos from the Steam Next Fest, because that's what we need, is more games to distract us from the other games that we already have. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. You're the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.